Monday, November 18th, regular meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Susan Skiris. Here. Joseph Jones. Here. Michael Lippy. Here. Lauren Campbell.
Here.
Teresa Harms.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones. Yes. Michael Lippy. Yes. Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Public forum. This is the time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes.
Wilshire Blvd, 1770 92nd Street in West Des Moines. Thanks for letting me be here, let me talk. I'm the membership director for the Urbandale Chamber, powering the Windsor Heights Chamber. So I wanted to use this time to give an update frequently from time to time on what's going on in the chamber and what we know from around the Windsor Heights community. So wanted to fill you in on a couple new members that have joined the chamber. Blue Agave just up the street. Dr. Gosson, the principal at Coles Montessori, which is a good key stakeholder to have within our chamber, and Gardner Automotive. Couple upcoming events, and these are always open to all of our members as well as the public, and any business owners here that want to get involved in the chamber. Coming up next Tuesday is AM Exchange. It's our largest networking event. It's actually hosted in West Des Moines this time around, but it's a great way for Windsor Heights businesses to get involved in the business community. The following Tuesday after that, December 3rd, is Maximize Your Membership. This is a weekly or a monthly course, a deeper dive into the chamber. So if you have any questions about the chamber, about membership, this is a good opportunity for you to drop in and do so. Going into 2025, we're going to be implementing a new program called Wake Up in Windsor Heights. This is a networking event by Windsor Heights businesses for Windsor Heights businesses. And the first one will be hosted on January 9th at Dinner Dispatch from 8 to 9. So again, any Windsor Heights businesses or public interested in networking amongst the Windsor Heights community, we encourage you to come out for that. Following that, the next day on January 10th is the West Side Legislative Breakfast hosted down at Colby Park. This is a chance for you to hear from your elected officials. It's in joint with West Des Moines, Clive, Waukee, and of course, Windsor Heights. So if you are interested in meeting and greeting with your local officials, that's a great opportunity to do so. Thanks.
Just add, I think we're tentatively on the list for May for public safety for Wake Up Windsor Heights to hopefully show off a new fire engine. I know we should have.
Yeah, look forward to that. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Fletcher. Any other public comment?
Bob Bishop, 1128 64th Street. I'm here today because my wife missed her workout activities yesterday because she was late. And if you're late, you cannot participate. So I appreciate the time you're giving me. That led to when she came back, I said, well, we'll take a COVID walk. And if you don't know what a COVID walk is in our family, when we always used to work out every day, and when COVID hit, can't do that anymore. So we started walking. She doesn't like to ride a bike like I do. And we basically have walked every street in Windsor Heights multiple times. It was a good adventure for all of us. And I had been telling her about the park and all the great activities that Windsor Heights has been done with the streets and the development, and you've got to see the park. And I keep updating her on the park. I said, well, come on and down and see the park. I'll show you the vandalism that's going on down there. Well, she couldn't resist, and off we go on our walk, and we get to the park, and that is a beautiful park, by the way, guys. That was not, I do appreciate that. And I know that's not something you haven't already heard. So we show her the park, and she's enamored with how it's designed. I'm enamored because my engineering construction background, you can't no stairs to the slides, got a wonderful little merry-go-round. The whole thing's awesome. The landscaping was wonderful. And I said, come here, look at this. They spent all this money on landscaping and look, the vandalism. Now, this vandalism is not something that public safety can address. This is more of a public works issue. And these vandals, I have had personal experience with myself over many years, are ornery. They will come up to these brand new trees and take their butt. And they will rub and rub and rub and rub and rub. And they'll wear the bark off. And in the dead of winter, they'll come up there, those tender little trees, and they'll eat the bark off. And I noticed you have these trees and I went, oh my goodness, look what's happening already. I wonder if the city's aware. And my wife says to me, well, you know, you need to go down to City Hall and talk to them about that. So here I am today. And I would throw a little comment in about, you know, we should learn from this mistakes in the past. And one of the mistakes in the past we had was we planted a bunch of trees down there. And those rotten little varmints destroyed them. I'd hate to see those trees destroyed. I hope the council can give direction and the necessary funding to public to look at that and see what they can. I know aesthetically it's not pleasing. It generally happens through the fall, wintertime, springtime. You can usually take that stuff down. But I just want to make sure you guys were aware of what was going on in that beautiful park that's been created down there. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
I just had to put up a fence around my aspen that I just planted in my front yard because the deer keep on destroying it. So look into it. Thank you.
We're just having some technical difficulties.
Oh, we always are. All right.
There we go.
Any other public comment? Item 4, consent agenda.
So
Moved.
Roll call.
can I
Yep.
take out H to talk about? And if we could do everything and then take it, like, I don't know, if we can vote on that. Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Everything less item H.
Harms and Libby, you guys good with that?
Yep.
Sure. Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
All right, set for consideration of item H, approve resubmission of the Mid-American Icon Water Access Grant.
So I just want to kind of express my concerns regarding the proposed Icon Water Access Grant, specifically the allocation of approximately $82,000 for this project. While I understand the intention behind promoting outdoor recreation and enhancing our park amenities, I believe we need to carefully evaluate our financial priorities, especially given the uncertainty surrounding potential changes to state sales or state tax plans that could increase the financial burden on our city. I have concerns about the actual utility of the water access area. The question I keep coming back to and have heard from numerous constituents, in fact, even today, is whether the creek will consistently have enough water for activities like kayaking, fishing, or water play. If the water levels are often too low or if flooding and debris present safety risks, it's possible the area could see limited use. If we're investing taxpayer dollars, we need to ensure this project will be used regularly and provide long-term value to the community. Additionally, I question whether it's wise to use TIF funding for this project, particularly when we have pressing infrastructure needs in the park area itself. I believe we need to explore whether there are other more pressing needs that should take precedence, especially when our city's budget may face additional strain in the future. Public safety is another critical concern. If we proceed with this project, we'll need to ensure that our police and fire departments are equipped to handle potential water rescues. I've heard numerous reports from local agencies about rafters getting stuck or needing rescue. I'm concerned that we don't currently have the necessary equipment or staffing to manage these situations effectively. If we're going to promote water access, we should also be prepared to invest in the training and equipment necessary to keep the public safe. We would depend on mutual aid using our 20 to our other departments. Just could we explore other ways to invest this money, perhaps in picnic tables or along those lines? Ultimately, while I see the value in improving public recreation and outdoor spaces, I believe we need to take a step back and carefully consider whether this is the best use of taxpayer money at this time. I'm not opposed to the idea in principle, but I do think we need more information on water conditions, safety considerations, and how this project aligns with our broader financial goals. It's kind of my statements.
I can provide a little context if you'd like of why it's on the agenda this evening. I believe this is the third time that we've submitted for the Mid-American Icon Grant. This is something the Mid-American helps fund semi-annually. We looked at the master plan for Colby Park about a year ago and saw the opportunity to maybe help fulfill that vision alongside the construction that happened this year at that time. And so we applied the last 2 times in hopes that we could construct this alongside the other improvements. The cost of the water access, which is smaller than was originally envisioned under the master plan, because the goal is to limit the city's expenditures to it, has continued to increase each funding cycle. The city's commitment on the application is $50,000, but I think the latest cost estimates to do what the previous plans were would be closer to that $70,000 or $80,000 match. So the grant amount is $125,000 if fully funded by them. We did not receive any funding the last 2 times. But since the grant was essentially already written, we've continued to submit. The time frame for completion of this, we listed in the grant application as in 25 or 26. So if we did receive the grant and wanted to move forward, we'd have about 1.5 years to construct that. That's the thinking behind it. Certainly appreciate your points. If council doesn't wish to move forward with the grant application, we can move forward with not submitting it going forward. From a TIF funding perspective, this would be covered under the urban renewal plan, so it would be a valid use of TIF funds, as could be picnic tables or other expenses. We're not as constrained in our TIF budget as we are in the general fund budget. We have a limited number of TIF projects, 73rd Street North right now, 68th Street next year, and then 73rd Street South is on the horizon, of course, in part dependent on the RAISE grant. Those are our only substantial TIF projects that we currently have scheduled out beyond the Colby Park improvements, which are slated to be paid for partially out of TIF funds as well.
Adam, if we do go ahead with the application and are awarded, are we committed to doing this?
I think there's a clear expectation that we would move forward with it, yeah.
Other discussion?
Remind me on our portion of the icon trails, what are the intended purpose for the access? Is it for fishing? Is it for?
Yeah, I'm glad you
what are
brought
they
that up because
expecting?
it's true. Walnut Creek isn't navigable most of the season. And it's not really set up for people to take watercraft into it. It's more of just an experiential access into the water. Part of what Icon tries to encourage on these smaller waterways is getting people at the water source to experience it, to be thinking about water purity, nutrient situations. Hopefully that access points helps educate them or provides an opportunity to educate them on the importance of these waterways in the metro. But as far as taking a kayak or a canoe down Walnut Creek, you'd have pretty limited opportunities to do that. So it's really designed more of a small water access where you could potentially play in the creek, the water conditions allowed for that, fish, or otherwise enjoy sort of the nature portion of that.
Adam, are we at a point where we know what's happening upstream and how that might affect any other things that we might do?
From a flood standpoint or from a nutrient contribution?
Anything our neighboring cities might do to affect our part of the project?
Oh, from a different access. I'm not aware of any additional Walnut Creek access applications that are applied for. I don't believe there was any last time. Most of the Icon grants have been along Beaver Creek, I think 3 of them in Johnston. And then last year there was one funded outside of Johnston. I forget where it's at. So
Is anyone
short
looking
answer
at,
is no.
is anyone looking at any creek restoration that could affect water flow to us?
Clive has a significant project that they're looking at just west of Windsor Heights on 73rd Street. Would be a significant property buyout program of those commercial properties in that area. some additional flood storage capacity they've been doing, and then sort of a green belt that would offer both storage and sort of access to the creek, or at least sort of a nature area with a bridge over Walnut Creek into Windsor Heights, north of University Avenue. That's on their tentative timeline list, but they haven't released any definitive plans at this point.
Further discussion?
I guess my only other comment would be you will need to make a decision tonight because the grant deadline is coming up. So one way or another, I do need some direction so that we can apply or not apply.
Okay, is there a motion or not?
I would move to approve.
1 second.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
No.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
5A, consideration of resolution number 2024-67, a resolution approving charitable donation agreement of real estate.
Move to approve.
Second.
AJ.
This is a proposed donation of just over a half acre of property from Emmanuel Pathways, which is located just to the west of Sherwood Forest. There's a map of the area being donated on the second page of the staff report. It connects to existing property and the existing trail. There's currently an unimproved mode section by Public Works up to Sherwood Forest that already goes through this property. We're in the process of doing some prairie restoration along that former Boy Scout project, the cleared area there, and some native tree restoration on right where that Plaza Hills Plat 7 is shown on existing city property. It's all floodplain property. We approached the church whether they'd be willing to donate this to the city since we currently provide access through it and are working to remove invasive species. There's a bunch of poison ivy and poison oak and other things off on these properties, both the city property and the church property there. And there has been some conversation, and in the CIP is unscheduled the potential for a paved trail to Sherwood Forest from the existing city trail here. So provides the opportunity to create that additional access. We're already maintaining the property, so it seemed to make sense to me that if the church was willing to donate that, which they are, that we would take that and kind of complete that area for us. Happy to answer any questions.
We've had this conversation in the Economic Development Committee about Sherwood Forest and what the improvements and potential improvements are going to be for that part of the city. And they're quite extensive, and having this path, or this bike path, if you will, between the bike trail and Sherwood Forest would be helpful.
All right. Any further conversation or questions for AJ? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
5B, consideration of 110 68th Street entry hold harmless and temporary easement agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
AJ?
This is an agreement that would give the city a 10-foot construction temporary easement access in the east side of 110 68th Street to construct the sidewalks, part of the 68th Street reconstruction efforts. We previously talked about the trees that are also partially within the right of way, partially on the private property here. For prior council direction, we've obtained an agreement with property owners for those trees to be removed. We don't have a specified amount. We'll remove the minimum required amount as part of the sidewalk project in compensation for that $22,500, which also grants the city the easement for construction necessary for the sidewalk and that retaining wall. Property owner will have the ability to select the color of that DOT approved retaining wall. And they're in agreement that it's their responsibility to maintain that sidewalk and that retaining wall beyond the warranties provided by the contractor as part of the project. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
5C, discussion of Colby Park table and bench options. AJ?
Pass it over to Nate, who's put together a few different options for council to consider following our last conversation regarding the art benches and maybe something that's a little bit more user-friendly as far as number of seats, ability to place drinks or food in front of that food truck plaza. Nate, if you want to just kind of talk through the thought process between the three different options.
Yeah.
Probably should. We got at least one person online.
Okay, so this first couple of sheets here that we have are just showing furnishing options that we can put out there at Colby Park near the food truck plaza that will allow people opportunities for seating as well as to stand around after having gotten, food truck food and a drink for places to set those. So this first option here, this is a kind of a rendition of a picnic table, if you will, a half of a picnic table in one case where you could sit on one side and look out at the park or out at the amphitheater space. So keep that in mind as we move into the next slide here. So then this is a rail. There you go. Yep, for standing around people, you can get 6 or 7 adults around one of these rails. And place food or drink on. They're about a foot wide. So pretty low impact in the way of, at least visually speaking, as you're out in the park. And then I do have prices on each one of these as well, but I'll talk a little bit more on price as we get into these different options here. So this first option here, we have what I'll say a larger gathering space on the eastern end of the food truck plaza. So next to the first couple of food truck parking spaces. Yep, right there. We have those picnic tables that we showed before in more of this group setting set end to end so that you can sit and converse with somebody across the table from you. These are accessible picnic tables as well, so somebody can pull up a wheelchair right next to someone else sitting at that picnic table. And then we're showing some of those jessie rails around the outside of that slab there. We just see this being as a nice place for 15 to 20 people to gather in that area. Then we have another slab just to the west of there where we have just a couple of jessie rails. Yep. Again, just an easy spot for people to grab their food truck food and then just walk over and stand there. We are also showing some bench slabs, 4 of them, which is just to say an existing bench, a bench that the city already has in possession just needs to be placed on a concrete slab. Yep. And then we also have some extra concrete slab next to each one of those benches in order to have the ability for somebody to roll up in a wheelchair next to those benches. So then on this concept up there on the top left is the total price for this package, just based off of manufacturer pricing for the jessie rail on the left, and then the takeout picnic tables on the right there. So that would be an all-in cost on your furnishings anyway. And then each one of these concepts are very similar in terms of the amount of concrete being placed. So your costs there will be pretty much a wash between each one of these options. So moving on to concept B. So this one is just a slightly smaller bench pad on the east with just the picnic tables. But the thing that I like personally about this concept is that we've placed these jessie rails on the outside edge of the amphitheater ring walk. I think that's becomes a really nice space for people to walk up to these rails and feel a little more a part of the amphitheater that's going on there. And to be able to watch, whatever event, or if you got a movies in the park, night that you can park at those locations. So pricing on that one, Jessie rail and the takeout, we're placing less Jessie rails. So that's really what you're seeing is the difference in cost between the alternative A and alternative B. So we can move on to C. So this one, the primary difference on the east there is that we've changed the orientation of those takeout picnic tables. And this is more the style of, like I mentioned before, being able to sit at these tables and looking out into the park space. So we've arranged 3 in that location there. And then the Jessie rails, we are still placing some of those, but we are making a connection through to the ring walk on one of those on the far west end. Yep. So that Jessie rail, people will kind of be standing at that Jessie rail, but then, people kind of walking on either side of them in this scenario. And you can see the cost there as well. So one less takeout table on this one than the previous 2. And then it's like slightly less on the Jessie rail as well on this concept. So if we go to the next slide here is just kind of a summary of each one of these options and what some of the I guess the characteristics of each one of them, as well as I think we've got the total cost on this page. If we zoom out, do we see the costs of each one or yeah, okay. So the cost, you'll have to go back to each one of those concepts, but that's the package.
What are these made out of?
Good question. I do have some samples here. It's actually a combination of powder coated metal and then a composite material.
These look far more utilitarian than those leaf designs that we have.
Yeah, we scaled back a little bit, but I think also they can work really well with the colors that we have out there. I think we got some really nice options there. So. Yep.
I have some concerns with B, I like the idea of having them on the circle, but I think that, or on the arc there, but there's some of the events, thinking of like movies in the park and like nights in the Heights, that there's people that are sitting like behind that area. And does that eliminate some of the seating area unless you're okay staring at people that are standing there? But is it the third option? So the third option kind of option C adds extra sidewalk in there and adds the rail there to the far left. Is that right?
Mhm.
So it's adding another connection there.
Yep.
So my question, when people are standing there, I mean, how much room do we really have in that sidewalk area to like be standing there and then have people trying to go around it? What's that looking like? Because I just envision how people are standing there and you don't just stand 3 there. If you're with a crowd of people, you've got 8 or 9 around, and then you're kind of around that big harsh or you're taking up a lot more space than what the table is. So trying to figure out how big that sidewalk is, because I can't see it, even though I've been there how many times?
I think we got a scale there on the right, but a hard time reading it. So. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
The ring sidewalk is 5 foot wide, I believe.
Are all 3 options on pads off of the sidewalk or off of the food court alley?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
that's what I
aren't
was
placing
thinking.
anything within the food truck
Okay.
proper. If that's what you're asking.
So it's add-on. Okay, thank you.
So I think what we can do to offer, I think the most, like the biggest capacity, would be ideal because we have such limited options down there for people to be able to sit, and that's one of the things that can be a challenge down there. I also like the idea of the perimeter, but do have concerns about people seeing, so I don't know if it's just placement where they are in this design. I agree with Susan, if that is blocking your current pass-through, a good point on that. But I think these are a great option and I like how they look, and I think they're gonna be very functional, which is what we want, so. I just am wondering what's the best placement for everything to maximize. I don't know. I haven't been
Maybe
down
they
there
just shift
looking.
them to the left and to the right. So you
Yeah.
keep that center area more clear.
Yeah, possibly. Cause I haven't just been down there to look, you know what I mean? It's like you almost you gotta go take a look and think about how it looks. It's hard to do unless you're doing it with that in mind.
And none of these alternate, or the three of them, nothing will affect the food trucks getting in and out because it's on this side, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're completely off of that
For the
pavement.
south.
I like the way on this one too. I think maybe all of them all kind of align with the catenary lights that will go up as well.
I also love the accessibility piece. Thanks for working that in. That's super
That's
important.
nice.
Otherwise, happy to answer more questions. Otherwise.
Do we need to decide on a plan or do we just need to give some direction on, and I don't know, what is the request here today?
Not looking for a final decision today, but yeah, if you can give us direction on which alternative you like, or if you would like to see some additional modifications, then we can work on, because I don't think we have pricing for concrete in here yet, but probably looking at a spring installation at this point, would be my assumption.
So I kind of like alternative C. And those, the current benches that we have, and they're staying in place, yes?
That would have moved. Then
The current benches that we have, the metal benches,
The metal benches that you're seeing on these plans are not installed yet.
no, we have benches there now,
or do 5.
Oh, yes, sorry, on the inside of the ring.
right?
I'm okay with that.
Are these the tables, the takeout tables, are they movable or are they like permanently installed?
They'll be serviced.
Okay.
The short.
I like the on A and B, how the tables are set up kind of in pairs, so you could have a larger group of people sit around them if you wanted to, or sit independently, but prefer the Jessie table layout on C personally.
I like A and C. Joseph and I were kind of talking. The only thing on C is that accessibility, the this thing here.
Yeah, the one that's in the sidewalk.
Yeah,
So
that one.
If it only
That's
had
our,
5, that'd be great.
or if we could find a spot for that wasn't in the middle of the sidewalk, because trying to get a wheelchair or a stroller or anything, that's just too much. And I'm not a good driver of either of those, so just gonna say that.
There's just one that is in that
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
yeah.
Otherwise, I think the layout's good.
I do too. I like that.
But I guess the question becomes how many
Do we?
options do we want, right? That's really what the difference is between A and C.
Mhm.
I mean, even if we moved that one in the sidewalk over, we could even add another, maybe we could add in another takeout one and just kind of make our own option, alternative D.
You can mix and match.
Yes. I just need one of those what is that? The love sack where it has like the couches and you can just move things around.
Doesn't request a modular park.
Yes, that would be pretty.
Legos.
Could make a little block with that. That would be good.
I can show you where I wanted
Could
that.
accomplish that.
Oh, I got plenty. I'll bring them.
Well, so as far as, I think maybe as far as the larger pad goes, maybe we could start there. That's an easier place to start. I mean,
So maximize the space for people on that larger pad.
yeah, I mean, how many, what's a good number there?
Is there a way, like the three that are there?
When you're talking on the 3, you're talking about C.
Yeah, on
Okay.
C, those three there. If we go a little bit further that way, are we heading towards where the circle drive used to be? And kind of where, so could we add like another one of those takeout tables there? Cause that would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the. So we should, we'd be able to push out a little bit there where we had the picnic table for Fall Festival.
The only thing that I'll say is I think it's a little odd as far as, because the amount of pavement that you add, you almost want to add pavement in the whole area or do some nice landscaping. I guess we could do that. We could have like a landscape bed. That would be like 3 or 4 feet wide around it. Right, because you're talking basically where we have our graphics.
Yes. Just looking at other ways that we could get more tables in without feeling like we're all congested in the park.
I don't know if you can see on your printed, but you can see, it's very hard to see on here, but there's a background of what else is there. Like very light, like what else is in the food truck area. I can see it on my iPad. Well, it just shows all the that's ADA stalls and where all the.
Oh yeah, I'm not seeing that.
So it's hard to see there.
I'm not seeing.
You can very faintly see it right here. If you're looking at the right
Oh,
direction.
there's a glare.
Over there a little bit. Really, just to give you a sense of where you're at.
Does anyone have preference on them facing, the tables facing each other or facing out? So A and B, the takeout tables are facing each other, and C, they're facing the park.
Seems like you want them to face the park.
Yeah, don't we want to face, because then we'll be able to see whatever we're looking at.
Yeah, so I think, so like in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, when they're facing the park, that'd be like, I could go and multitask and work while my kid plays on the playground. And then the layout in A and B, I think lends itself more to you're sitting with people and having a picnic or, with a group of people. So I think just a little bit different use case for them, but I think they'll get used no matter what.
Do we need to have both?
Say again?
Do we need to have both?
Well, we do have at least one picnic table down there now. Will that continue? Will that stay, that movable one? Andy, is that?
There's 3 down there right now, I believe. 2 of them are sitting where the B
Cycle?
bicycle
Yep.
rental is gonna go in. You could potentially shift at least one of those just to the east of that, without getting too much into the walkway. And then you'd be right next to the playground still.
Yeah, we just deployed those just to have some type of seating because it was kind of limited.
For sure. Okay.
Then you're gonna start feeling like you're next to bike racks.
Yeah.
Because you got the regular bike racks and then the B-cycle ones there too, so.
Fair.
I know a lot of families use those for picnic. I know we
Yeah.
did when the girls were younger, come down and bring lunch and play and all those things. So I know that they're popular.
Okay, so are we at 4 tables facing towards the park? Is that where we're at?
Nate, is that gonna work with poles? So we're talking about expanding that pad, widening that pad.
Evenly.
Yeah, you got your pole in there, so if you could try to expand that. Got that. Potentially, like Steve mentioned, like a next green space, it's just a matter of.
So where the scale is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So expand it to where the scale is, and then the jessie tables further to the west. Maybe have the walkway, but shift the jessie tables one direction or another, so that you can still get a stroller pass there if it's not being fully occupied.
Well, do we wanna, is anybody like that option?
So
I would prefer to keep it, like if we could keep it off the sidewalk and move it to a different, just to keep traffic going in both directions, and just personally with the events that I've been to and seen that usually snags, and then you get people grouped up there, and you can keep the flow going. That's always better. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
So the Vision C, the area that we're talking about congesting, is that middle jessie table?
So that would be this one here.
It's on the sidewalk.
Ah.
On the left.
This, yep.
Or is the space that's, I guess, in the center? Everyone okay with that? Regardless of the proposal?
Yep.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, where the cursor is.
Yes.
Okay.
You do something.
Put that over
So what's the,
What about to the far left piece of green space there? If it shifted over and it was on the arc there? In there somewhere?
Like in the corner. Like all the way down there, back down. There you go. My husband really likes it when I say go up, down, around.
but coming off of
I need
the
a
arc
pointer.
you're talking about?
Yeah,
And so if it's coming off of the arc, people would be then, to be walking around, right? Is that the plan, Nate?
They'd be walking around on the arc, you mean?
Well, they'd be, the table, they would be walking around and then standing facing towards the park, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or we could make the other option, make it to the top left corner too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Either one.
I wonder if that creates a risk for, because that's where food trucks and stuff pull in. If we want to keep as much stuff that could be run over as
Very true.
possible up there.
You lose a bit of symmetry too if you've got
Yeah.
tables and benches within those lights, which aren't up yet, but I think once those lights are up, it'll feel a little bit more natural that you've got
Oh, sure.
jet out there on all three of them. I don't know if you could just shorten it up so that it doesn't actually connect to the arc, just to force people to use the actual walkway.
What we could do is turn on that one on the far west. We could split that, so there's two rails together right there.
Mhm.
You could split them. And turn them 90 degrees, so that you do have a nice wide area in the center. That solves the issue.
So what's our capacity if we just do everything but that one that's in the middle of the walkway there?
Say that. or-
So- Yes, sorry, Nate. So the one that's on B, right? C, that one that's towards the end, that's in the walkway there where Nate has
Adam has.
Adam has the cursor. So minus that one, then what's
You could comfortably fit, so each one of those jessie rails, you can see that there's two segments to that. You could comfortably fit people around each one of those individual rails. So if you put the two rails together, you got 12 there in that center space. To the east of that one. Yep, and I guess smaller than one too, it's the same layout. And then those tables there, you fit two plus your wheelchair. That said, I would imagine that if there's somebody already sitting at that table, you're probably, you don't know the person, you may only get one person sitting there. I could conceivably see that happening.
Is it possible to have the one on the far left look less like a walkway and have it be more of a pad like it is on the other jessie rail?
Yeah, why is it going through? Just because,
It's just pretty tight there. Yeah, I think sorry, I don't know, you can kind of tell if this was the design. So if you had that sidewalk continued here, you're just left with this kind of small little strip here where it's kind of no man's land. So I think the design was just kind of connected, fill it in. Not necessarily the intention to stick it in the middle of a sidewalk. It was just what was left over after what was the table would be installed.
Gotcha.
So was there a total number of people completely? I heard numbers going, but I didn't
Yeah,
add them
sorry.
all up.
So on this one, you have about 12 people per each one of those jessie rail groupings, two. And then 6 to 8 at those tables on the east end there, so 30 for this concept. Right in my math right.
could we do, is there a way to flip like to get more of the jessie tables and less of the takeout? So we can get more people?
Absolutely.
Like instead of doing the what do we have, 4 jessie tables?
We could focus the jessie tables on the east end and really get a lot of them in there. And then your takeout tables, maybe you could go on these slabs on the more on the western end. So I think you do want to mix.
No, that's what I
still, right?
was originally like thought.
Yeah.
yes,
For the handicap
Yes.
accessibility.
the concern about A is it's gonna be, I like the grouping of A. But that seems like a very tight space to be putting
Yeah, and if-
buffering.
Yeah, it's about 20 to 30 feet probably wide.
It does seem to be,
I can't.
I think it'd be really tight in there if there are
Yeah.
people standing at the rails and you're sitting at the,
I mean, maybe if you're tiny in kid size, but you get people that are, you know, my size.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be nice I think it would be good to have a mix there. It just seems like that's probably a bit too much.
Like we could take out 2 of the jessie tables there, maybe?
Yeah.
The jessie rails.
Yeah.
I think I'm hearing that we like the idea of having the ability to have more people gather, especially in that area. but on a somewhat lesser basis of what we're showing.
Less tight.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be accurate.
So if you could figure out the rest.
Come back with
Good luck.
option D.
And E and F.
Or Legos.
I like Legos.
And
Blocks,
Legos.
Legos, something like that.
Well, exercise, just practice.
Teresa already has a tray, so we can just use that.
I can bring, I actually have the Lego build things. Mats, bring them over.
All right. 5D, discussion of 68th Street reconstruction sidewalk accessibility. AJ?
Yes, so we have met with a number of residents there on 68th Street and Mott's. It's a variety of different issues, but I think we've got a plan to address the electric vehicles, walkability on both sides of the street with the asphalt millings and gravel. I think the main decision for council to weigh in on, if you're comfortable with what I've listed out in the staff report, is whether you'd like to move forward with the rubber matting for at least the one section where we have a resident that sometimes uses a scooter, and we're not sure if it'll be able to run on that asphalt millings or the gravel. We do have to we'll have to cut into a pretty steep embankment there on the side of the road, particularly on the east side, to get in that temporary access. And so I think you probably need to make a decision on the rubber matting before the project starts, as opposed to reactively go in there, because then we'll be trying to order the matting after the fact and then waiting for the contractor to install that and do that through potentially a change order, or be asking Public Works to do that. So if it does present itself as an issue for the scooter to traverse that, you could have a, several week time frame in which we're trying to scramble to address that issue. So that's why I've recommended the rubber matting as kind of that preemptive way to address potentially getting the scooter across that. Other than that, some ADA signage in the closest proximity possible for folks that aren't able to walk very far. If we do Mott Street, we have one resident that has a in-home nurse that comes, and we're able to gravel a section of his driveway off of 69th Street so that the vehicles can get off and on to his existing driveway through that. And then the EV charger can be plugging in at Colby Park with an extension cord we've got to get them level 2 access. Not the perfect solution, but probably the best that we can come up with, given the proximity to Colby Park and the existing power that we have out there. So those are kind of the recommendations out there on the ADA side. Looking primarily for direction, if you like that plan, and if you want to move forward with that rubber matting or not.
And we can use the rubber matting again, right? That's the,
If it's successful, then I think we'd store it and reuse it on future road reconstruction projects we might face similar issues on.
Do we know of any other cities anywhere, not just here in the metro, any other cities that are using this mat for projects like this? Have we asked them how this has worked for them? I know that, you were just in the very beginning stages when we brought this to us, so I didn't know if you had a chance to look and see.
I did pose the question to kind of the city administrators that participate in ICMA across Iowa, what alternative solutions they provide for ADA access during road reconstruction. I got very limited response, other than people tend to figure it out, and sometimes they do put in a temporary gravel or asphalt milling sidewalk on there. We've talked to our contractor on site as well. I think Justin's visited with some folks as well. So I don't know if you've heard anything else, but I have not heard any feedback one way or another on the rubber matting or not. It is designed for golf carts to drive. It's usually used by landscaping companies, I think, when they're doing a project and going over like a golf course or something like that. So it does provide a relatively smooth surface. And the way that they attach to each other, they have two options. One kind of humps up a little bit, and the other one is pretty flat to the mat. And that would be the connection device that we'd be ordering there to try to make it as smooth as possible, but also still have, it's got some ribs to it, so that if you just get rainy conditions, it should still have some grip on it. So, from a design aspect, it looks like it should work. I don't have any proof of concept, I guess, other than what I've seen online.
Can you tell me more about the on-street ADA parking signs? Are those reserved spots for certain residents or?
Yes, we started doing that on 73rd Street when we had folks with accessibility needs, but we went on 73rd Street, we've gone into the adjoining east-west street as close to the kind of the road barricade as possible and just put an ADA on-street parking sign there. It's not reserved for one particular person, but anybody that has an ADA hanger on their car can use that. And we try to align the number of those on-street ADA signage with the number of residents that would need that. And, you know, I think it's been fairly successful as insofar as people not parking in those stalls. Other than the first couple of days while people figure it out, I haven't seen a lot of people abusing that.
Thank you.
So what do you need from council, Adrian?
The intention is to take this out to bid the second meeting in December. If you're comfortable moving forward with that rubber matting, we would procure that outside of the project's contractor, but we would bid the requirement that they install that rubber matting at the appropriate time. So just need some direction from you if you'd like to do that, to include that in our bid package when that goes out next month.
I think it's a great idea.
It would seem appropriate to do it now rather than later.
If you're good with that, then Justin, I'll turn it over to you for the Mott sidewalk options on that alternate.
Yeah, so in your packet, there's multiple options for sidewalk, I guess. My recommendation would be the last one, I believe, with the sidewalk on the north side. Not attached to the sorry, that wasn't the last one. Go up one. That one. Whatever option that one is, where it's not attached to the Mott, the back of curb, but just off. There are a couple tree removals, like mentioned in the staff report, that are within the right of way and the fence with some landscape, but it seems like the easiest route of all of them is that one. So I guess just we go ahead with it, or which option, or none at all, I guess. It's just what I need from you all at this time.
So I see you recommend relocating the private fence. Do we know how much that will cost to do?
Which I told you that time, because we did it in Norwalk and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was, I think this was about the same size as the Norwalk one.
$2,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it, 4,000 or 5,000, if that?
That-
That seems high.
Yeah,
but
that seems high, but one never knows.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a permitted fence. It's within the right of way, as is that landscaping. However, you know, it's been there for a while, and if the resident is comfortable dealing with the landscaping, or that landscaping go away and we can shift that fence a couple feet north, seems like something we could incorporate into the project if council desires, so. They'll be experiencing a lot of disruption because they're going to have sidewalk on the south side of their property as well as on the east side of their property. So they'll have a lot of sidewalk to maintain going forward. They'll have construction on two sides of their home. So they'll be feeling the impact of this project pretty substantially. So it felt like a nice gesture, I guess, to me, to the resident.
What about the replacement of the trees?
The plan is for this project to provide the residents an option to plant a tree on their private property, not within the right of way, as part of this project, if they so elect. Doesn't prohibit us from going back and planting trees in the right of way, if we desire. And the one that has the 3 Siberian elms in the mulberry in it is a rental property. I don't know if they desire to have new trees planted on their private property or not, but that's the overall game plan for the project. Is any resident that would like a street tree off the street, we would accommodate that request through a temporary easement as part of the project.
In option 2, we wouldn't move the chain link fence. It would stay in the same spot because the sidewalk is on the curb,
Correct.
but would still losing the same number of trees.
Potentially, yes. We may be able to save them, but it's getting close.
The
Sure.
westmost one sits between two driveways. That one probably needs to go. There's also some damage to it regardless.
Yeah.
Andy and some of his staff that has some tree expertise looked at it. The other two Siberian elms may survive. They're not a real high quality tree, but they are big. They provide a lot of shade. And they're relatively healthy right now, at least, but we'll be doing work underneath their canopy.
I have no idea.
There's a power line going through there, so they've been kind of chopped off the limbs as well. That option just poses a lot of snow removal issues and whatnot with that.
So I
Surely
did
the
not
homeowners-
realize that this was on here at all because this is what I saw. So give me just a minute because I can't see very well either from here. So give me just a second so I can get on and see what we're kind of discussing.
I think just a reminder too, mod is being bid as an alternate to, so.
Which recommendation do you,
It was the
Feel-
third one.
third one?
The trees on the south side are really close and there's a very large one on the east side.
Oh, thank you.
Better.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Everybody comfortable with option C, as far as being brought before you for going out to bid then later next month?
Yes.
Just a question on the fence. I'm not against it. Just wondering what that does in the future. Is that setting a precedent for things? Will we have to follow by this decision each and every time we run into a situation like this where it's unpermitted? Or how does that
Yeah,
work?
I mean, so what you always want to do is establish the rationale. So in this particular case, and of course, we've got the ones on the riverbank too, that we've made some decisions on about letting them stay. So we just need to document the rationale. I think in this case, as Adam said, you've got a situation where they're gonna feel maximum impact of the project. We want to go forward with this particular path, and so in this situation, you're gonna allow for that. Of course, it does set some precedent, so similar type situations, you're gonna evaluate the same way.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Or do you feel that you have your direction?
Get on land.
Thank you, Justin. Yep. 5E, consideration of 2025 City Council meeting schedule.
Move to approve.
Second.
Are you sure?
There's only one date I don't like, but I'll manage.
Which one's that?
The January date. The January, the Tuesday, yeah,
Or having it on Tuesday.
yeah. It's just a conflict. It's Metro Waste reception.
Yeah. I would
So
kind of like to not have to miss that as well.
No, is that the one that the legislative? thing?
Yes.
could we move it to like a different Monday
Monday the 13th.
We could look at. since we
No,
don't have
Monday
the
13th is the first day.
January One, we could maybe look at the second Monday.
Well, the
Monday
second,
13th.
yeah, but that is first day. So that's the welcome back reception. So that's all the chambers and city elected officials are.
Second Tuesday.
It's also a legislative reception, but I can, oh, that's the ag and I won't be able to go,
Mhm.
but I mean, I would.
Oh, yeah, that's first, okay.
I was looking at like the 3rd, the 4th.
Of January.
A Friday or
A
Saturday?
busy month, says the lobbyist.
Yeah, you'd like a Friday night.
Thursday, yes, please. We could do Thursday.
What about the 14th? Does the 14th work? Is that,
It's better. Yep.
and I mean, we'll evaluate what's on the agenda, right? We,
CIP is anticipated to be discussed.
okay, well then we need to have that meeting.
We looked at trying to cancel it,
Um,
but figured we probably need to have some conversations about that.
Well, then, yeah, we need to have that meeting.
Actually, yeah, the 14th actually is perfect. Go with that.
Very good.
That would be, I will move to approve with changing January to the 14th.
Susan, you agree?
All right.
Justin, is that clear on your schedule too?
Clear it out.
The dates for 68th Street.
Otherwise, I like all the rest of
So
them.
we don't have one on the 6th then, correct?
No, then that would be, the 14th would be the only one in January.
Okay.
Mhm.
We typically skip that first one since due to the New Year's.
Right.
The other two I wanted to make sure to bring attention to are. Start with Tuesday, October 6th. So just from feedback after this year, Fall Fest falling on that weekend, that Monday, people felt like needed a little bit more time to recoup from Fall Fest to actually have time to review the packet. So moving it from that first Monday to the first Tuesday in October. And then the other one would be in July. We're looking at the kind of history in July. There's usually one, the past 2 years, we've canceled one of those in July, the second meeting typically. It looks like I put it here. Yeah, the second meeting in 2024 this year, and then last year we canceled that first meeting in August. Due to around that time, we usually have pretty low agenda items. I think both those times it actually was. One of them was 0 agenda items, and then one of them was 1 agenda item that that could wait. It wasn't like a pay request or something that had to go through that meeting, so we just moved that agenda item to the next one. So we're just proposing just to strike it from the calendar now instead of later on to deciding to cancel. Just having the caveat in mind of, should there be something, looking for a special meeting if we need to.
Right.
I think that-
Me.
That's
Those were the
fine.
2 big changes for this year's calendar.
I would tell you though that Tuesday, it's October 7th, not the 6th, and Monday's the 6th.
Tuesday is right, the
The
6th will be.
But we'll have it on the 7th, right? Tuesday, the 7th?
Yes.
Okay, just, all right, so Tuesday.
Oh, thank you.
If we don't have much on the agenda, you want to save us and not have that meeting? Because my brain cells, I mean, I'm reading stuff on Monday.
I would be happy to try to work around having that meeting. I will tell you, when we do go down to 1 meeting a month, their past precedence is if we have an active road reconstruction project or a construction project that's already been approved by city council, we do receive pay requests and pay them typically right after one of these meetings, and that can conflict with the cancellation. And so we have historically, years in the past and this year, made the payments with BMI's recommendation and staff review, and then brought that retroactively to the city council the next meeting so that you're aware of it. But it's already approved city council. Some cities don't bring those to a city council for payment, but we historically have here. But in those instances, we have not. So just be aware of that as kind of the one caveat. If we don't have 2 meetings in a month, sometimes we have to pay our contractors, but.
And generally I shoot for that's the second meeting of the month. Usually we cut out for. So usually I am for the second meeting of the month is what I usually shoot for, so to cancel the first one, not a big deal. proposed in July. This is the second one in July was canceled. Without the, I was thinking about fall fest.
All right.
Thanks for getting those out there so I can put it on the calendar
Yeah.
early.
Should I pull that up? Just get one.
So there's the correction to,
October 7th.
yeah, it's Tuesday, October 7th, correct?
Yep.
All right.
January 14th and October 7th are the two changes. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Teresa Harms.
Yes.
All right. My report is in the packet. Ms. Harms?
Yes, Windsor Wonderland is coming along very nicely. So mark your calendar, sign up. All the volunteer time slots are on line. Share on your social media outlets. And if you're looking to have a day filled with fun holiday decorating, please join us on the 5th from 10 to 5 at the community center to help decorate.
I attended DART on November 5th and expressed our city's continued support for regional transit. Veterans Day lunch was a huge success. Hats off to Councilwoman Skiris, whose efforts also included replacing the caterer at the last minute with very little notice. And thank you to city staff and all of our veterans on city staff that joined in the events as well. Special events meeting last week went well. And Windsor Wonderland is quickly approaching, as Teresa said. It's gonna be great.
Libby, I'm going to stay inside for a while.
No kidding.
My sunroof open.
Everybody kick back.
Are your windows up?
Just a couple of things. Thanks, Adam, for meeting with me this morning. Public Works, thank you. The snowflakes look great.
Thank you.
University. And, I'm so grateful that we made that decision because, they're big and bright and wonderful. I'm doing a coffee with council on Saturday, the 23rd, at Grounds for Celebration. I'm headed to the Urbandale City Council tomorrow to lobby a bit for the Sikh temple that they're trying to put in Urbandale off of 114th Street. Veterans Day was a great event. I was so pleased and it was really nice. Well, it was the first of a time, as you said, Mike, that we've had a speaker send a letter to us, and Captain Kelly was certainly a great addition. And that's all I have.
Jones?
Nothing for me.
Ms. Scaries?
Veterans Day went well, as everybody said. We had 32 veterans in attendance, and overall there were about 90 to 100 people there. The Young Patriots did an amazing job performing for the veterans, and the Boy Scouts were real rock stars. I'm very impressed with how quickly they cleaned up after the event. A huge thank you to all the volunteers who helped to make it a success. Also, we were fortunate to have the Urban Grill cater the event, which tasted fantastic, so I'm told. I never did get to try any of it. Thursday, I had the pleasure of joining Mayor Jones and Lauren at the Mid-Iowa Health Foundation's 40th anniversary celebration. We got to hear Joseph speak, and I really enjoyed the video where board members talked about the foundation's impact in the community. It's a great reminder of the importance of their work. Friday morning, we had a special events meeting where we finalized the dates for our 2025 special events. We also discussed summer events that involve the YMCA and the Des Moines Library. We have the special events dates blocked out on the calendar now for 2025, 26, and 27. Looking ahead, there's a Metro Waste meeting on Wednesday, and just want to give a quick reminder that the city is collecting holiday lights that are no longer working or no longer wanted. There's a box at City Hall, or will soon be, for those. It's there.
That's right.
And we'll also have a collection box at Windsor Wonderland. If you could encourage folks to bring their old lights for recycling, it helps prevent damage to the sorting machinery at the Grimes facility. And that means money stays in our pocket. So Metro Waste is always looking at ways to fix and reuse the lights. So it's a great opportunity to keep them out of the landfill. I'll be at the Chamber Connector Lunch tomorrow, and I'll be bringing the volunteer sign-up sheet for Windsor Wonderland with me. Hopefully we can recruit some new faces to help with our special events. I plan to take the sign-up sheets with me to future connector events as well. Next Tuesday, I'll be attending the AM Exchange, and we'll spread the word about Windsor Wonderland and volunteering there too. TRC sponsorships will be sent out to businesses that sponsored events last year. I think the dates between like December 1st and December 30th, somewhere in there. The chamber is using a new platform, so there's a learning curve for us again. So I will be updating sponsorships and adding in new ones. If you have any thoughts on things we need to change and you haven't sent me that information yet, please let me know. Lastly, as we head into the holiday season, just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all enjoy the holiday with your loved ones.
Yay.
Really rocking that Bills cup.
I was
over
gonna
there, aren't
say,
ya?
come on, there you go.
And go Bills. We will win until we play the Kansas City Chiefs again in the playoffs, and then we won't win anymore. So I am relishing
Enjoy it for now.
in my
It's
Bills.
quite the
win.
game, wasn't it?
The minutes
Yes.
reflect those.
Yes. Go Bills.
AJ, anything from you?
Chief Mees has a quick report, just as far as service. Also just note, given the pouring rain out there, that isn't going to be kind to our 73rd Street North reconstruction. I did provide some additional comments in the Friday email, but we've got the contractor well aware that this is a priority on our side, and as soon as the window opens up for construction, they need to get on it. And there's some sub-base material we're looking at to try to help make sure that we can get it dried out as quickly as possible and resume that work. So we're still in we're going to get it done phase. If we're back here next meeting and it's still not underway, then we can talk about alternatives of getting the road back opened up for winter with gravel or something else. But we're hoping we're going to get a window of drying it up and get this project done for phase 5 before the ground freezes.
How long do we anticipate this? Like, where are we at as far as, because I've driven past there, but I haven't looked. And of course, even if I looked,
It's not great.
okay, that's not what I wanted to hear.
They have just a little bit of sub drainage work to do, and then they can pour concrete. It's just, we got to have some dry weather, and we're not getting heat anymore, so it doesn't dry out as fast. So you need some wind, some sunshine for several days. They can get that drainage work done, and then they can mobilize to pour, but that window has just not appeared.
No snow won't.
Justin, I don't know if you have anything else to.
All been rain, be honest with you right now. So they'll be out there pumping tomorrow. Assuming it stops raining.
Good.
It's supposed to, aren't we supposed to have a dry week now? Maybe Wednesday a little bit, but
Don't jinx it, yes.
yeah, it's hurting me too.
Do you have good news?
Yeah.
Okay. excellent.
James Mees, Fire Chief, Windsor Heights Fire Department, Mayor and Council, thanks for your time tonight. I won't eat up too much. I apologize for any coughing. I seem to have a cough that there's no cure for. So in late October, City Administrator Plaguey and myself met with leadership from Clive and Urbandale to kind of showcase the changes we've made in the last 18 months that I've been here. Some of the basic points that we kind of went over was the staffing model and the changes we've made, what our nighttime staffing looks like as well with our POC program. We did discuss the POC program and its viability. I think long-term, it's not something we're going to be able to sustain. I think that we're going to potentially give it one more try, kind of see if we can find some viable candidates, kind of move on from there. The aggressive gains that we've made in acquiring very experienced and knowledgeable part-time staff over the last 18 months. We've made huge gains in bringing in people that are very good at what they do. Virtually everybody's on another agency somewhere, whether it's Des Moines Fire or Nell Clive, but we've picked up quite a few. We discussed the addition of a lieutenant's position. They were very receptive to that, just for leadership viability if I'm gone. So they were happy with that. Reviewed response capability improvements. One of the key points was our paramedic capability. We went from 93% to 99.5% paramedic coverage from 18 months previous to my 18 months, which 6% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a great improvement that they were very happy with.
We did discuss the apparatus replacement program set forth in the ERP that you guys okayed. They were very happy with that, and it shows the ability to be in a joint shared resources program in the future. So we're meeting all the expectations that they might have if that's an avenue that we wish to pursue as a city. We did discuss the total time throughout the last year that we are able to go on calls. I'd have to look, but I think if you do the math, 6% of the time throughout the year, we're dedicated to a call. So that means technically 94% of the time, we have the ability to help our mutual aid partners, kind of showcase that, and they were very receptive to that as well. We discussed expectations moving forward from the Urbandale and Clyde Fire Department. One of the talking points there was the city of Urbandale and the Urbandale Fire Chief. If we don't have 3 staff, they do not want us to send an engine with 2 people. Usually that's only at night, the night shift. So I've put a directive out in the past that says, this is the expectation of Urbandale. This is the expectation of Windsor Heights. So essentially what we're going to do in that is tell them we can't supply an engine. We can supply an ambulance if they want that. We did talk about it with Clive. Tentatively, they're okay with 2 on an engine, but I think that down the road, they're going to request the same thing. The big talking point that they had was they would like to see us get to a point where we have 3 on all the time. Obviously, in a perfect world, that's great. We want that to happen. So those are avenues that we might look to in the future. How can we make something like that happen, whether it's a part-time position, whatever. But that was one of the key things that they really would like to see us as far as, especially if we're involved in shared resources and the capability to provide what they provide to us on any given day. Does anybody have any questions? Or does Administrator Plaguey have anything to add that I might have missed?
No, just appreciate all the work you put into getting a good report and a good conversation going with our partners there, and the improvements we've seen in coverage in the last 18 months. Going forward, we're in the midst of a space use analysis, and as we continue to invest in 2 ambulances and an engine here going forward and look at potential renovations or other changes to facilities, it's important that we have a good understanding of where our partners are as far as expectations and what our path forward is with the FD staffing. So I think it was a productive conversation and well-timed from where we're looking at some acquisitions and potential changes from a facilities wise. So.
And it was a great segue with the shared resources if that's how we plan to move forward. So it was a good conversation.
Have you heard any more like on OSHA's requirements? I had read and seen a few things that, OSHA was coming out with the possibility in another year, 2, maybe 3, that they would, their preference, or however you want to word that, would be 3 people to an engine.
Yes. So sorry. That is something that they're moving towards. It may come to fruition or not, I don't know. And the other agency we look at is NFPA. And right now NFPA expects 4 people on an engine.
Really?
Yeah.
Minimum
Even most
3.
departments, when I was on Des Moines, we consistently ran with 3 on an engine. And to be honest with you, we're never, ever going to meet NFPA standards on everything in the fire service. Nobody does. It's virtually impossible to meet all the standards. And they are not a governing agency. They just put out recommendations. Do I wish we had 4? Yeah. But I mean, there's no department in the state that I know of that consistently runs with 4. So 3, yes, virtually everybody runs with 3, and we're doing what we can for now, but that's the way it is. I will definitely keep an eye on that and follow what OSHA ends up saying, because OSHA is a governing body. So
I know New York State has been, the firefighters there have been talking a lot about that. And
Yeah.
I mean, they always have 3 on an engine, but to have it now an OSHA standard, or soon to be possibly,
yeah, and I'll
is
keep
another thing.
a pulse on that. So that'll definitely be something that I would suggest recommendations to if that's what OSHA ends up deciding to do with the fire service. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right,
Roth, have a great vacation.
adjournment.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Series.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Colby Park.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
Lisa Hyde.
Yes, please.